This is a fantastic what-if scenario for Shirou Emiya. Given his established abilities and the core of his character, granting him absolute tracing and perfect projection would transform him into an almost god-tier magus, fundamentally altering his role and impact in the Fate universe. Let's break down what this would mean. Shirou Emiya, the epic smith. Current Shirou's abilities, brief recap. Tracing, limited. Shirou's unique brand of projection, heavily biased towards swords and metallic weapons. He can reproduce their form, structure, and a portion of their history and wielder skill. However, his projections are often slightly degraded, temporary, outside of unlimited blade works, and divine constructs are incredibly difficult or impossible to perfectly replicate. His body also takes immense strain from overuse. Unlimited blade works, reality marble. His ultimate ability, a bounded field that manifests his inner world, a barren plain covered in countless swords. Within UBW, his tracing and projection become nearly instantaneous, and he has access to all the weapons he's ever seen. Reinforcement. Basic magecraft he uses to enhance objects or his own body. Broken phantasm. Overloading a projected noble phantasm with magical energy and firing it as a single, devastating projectile, destroying the weapon in the process. What if Shirou had absolute tracing and perfect projection? This upgrade would essentially mean Shirou transcends the limitations that define his struggles and powers in the original story. Absolute tracing. This would mean 1. Instantaneous and flawless understanding. No longer limited to just weapons, Shirou could instantly and perfectly trace the complete information of anything he perceives, any object. Its full history, molecular structure, construction process, every interaction it's ever had, down to the quantum level, any being. The complete biological makeup, genetic code, every memory, thought process, and experience of a living creature, including humans, animals, and even servants, heroic spirits. To an extent, potentially breaching their mystery. He'd know their entire life story, their true name, their abilities, their weaknesses, and even their emotional state. Any phenomenon/concept. He could trace the flow of magical energy, the mechanics of a spell, the trajectory of a bullet, the weak points in a bounded field, the sequence of events leading to a disaster, or even the underlying principles of an abstract concept like justice or love. Divine constructs and true magic, the biggest game changer. He wouldn't just copy the form. He'd understand the divine forging, the foundational principles of a divine construct, or even begin to grasp the nature of true magic. This would make him capable of replicating things like Excalibur, or even EA. Though EA's nature as something that isn't a sword might still be a unique conceptual hurdle, he'd at least understand why. 2. Unbreakable memory and analysis. The information gathered would be perfectly stored and accessible within his mind, allowing for immediate analysis and strategic planning far beyond anything his normal mind could process. He'd be a living supercomputer of information. Perfect projection. Combined with absolute tracing, this would mean 1. Flawless replicas. Every projection would be an exact replica of the original, with no degradation in quality, mystery, or magical energy capacity. They would be indistinguishable from the original. 2. Permanent existence. His projections wouldn't dissipate. Once created, they would function as true, stable objects, not temporary constructs of magical energy. This is a massive deviation from standard magecraft. 3. Unlimited arsenal. Literally. With absolute tracing providing perfect blueprints and perfect projection allowing flawless permanent creation, Shirou could manifest anything he's seen or conceptualized. Not just swords, but shields, armor, advanced technology, vehicles, complex magical devices, or even replicas of servants' bodies, though perhaps not their souls' identities. 4. No strain. The physical and mental strain associated with his regular projection would be gone or vastly reduced, allowing him to endlessly create and battle. 5. True counter noble phantasm. He could perfectly replicate any noble phantasm he sees and use it against its owner or in any way he chooses, effectively creating a Gate of Babylon of his own, but with perfect copies rather than original treasures. Impact on Shirou's character and the Holy Grail War. The hero of justice realized, this power set would allow him to truly embody his ideal. He could trace and solve any global crisis, perfectly replicate defenses, create perfect medicines, understand and counteract any threat. His inherent desire to save everyone would be achievable on an unprecedented scale. The Holy Grail War, a mismatch. The Grail War would cease to be a grand struggle and become Shirou's personal playground. He could instantly trace every master's and servant's abilities, weaknesses, and true names. He could perfectly project counters to every noble phantasm. He could replicate and deploy an army of noble phantasms, far surpassing even Gilgamesh's Gate of Babylon in terms of quality and tactical flexibility. He could potentially even trace the Grail itself, understanding its true nature and whether it's a blessing or a curse. Relationship with servants. Saber. their bond would be even deeper. Shirou could perfectly project Excalibur, perhaps even restoring it to its full, pre-scabbard strength. He could understand her past perfectly, her every thought, making their synergy absolute. Archer. Their fundamental conflict would be shattered. Archer's regret stems from his inability to save everyone despite his powers. If Shirou possessed this level of power, Archer's despair would be challenged, perhaps even healed. He might become Shirou's most valuable teacher and ally, guiding him to control such immense power. Gilgamesh. The king of heroes would be utterly dethroned. Shirou's perfect projections would be equal or superior to Gilgamesh's originals, which are often degraded by his method of flinging them. Gilgamesh's pride would be annihilated, leading to either an immediate, desperate, futile attack, or a profound re-evaluation. No longer a faker, his core identity as a faker who only makes copies would be obsolete. His copies are the originals, and he is the ultimate creator. The weight of omniscience. While immensely powerful, this level of tracing could be a double-edged sword. Knowing everything about everyone, every tragedy, every dark secret, could lead to immense psychological burden. He might struggle with human imperfection and the sheer scale of suffering he could perceive. A new kind of magecraft. He wouldn't be just a magus. He'd be an entirely new phenomenon, a conceptualizer and manifester of reality itself. His reality marble, unlimited blade works, might even evolve to a state where it's not just a reflection of his inner world, but a true forge of everything, able to recreate aspects of the root itself. In essence, Shirou Emiya with absolute tracing and perfect projection would be the ultimate embodiment of his sword origin and element, capable of creating and understanding anything, making him one of the most powerful beings in the Nasuverse, far beyond even most servants, and potentially rivaling beings on the level of true magicians. His struggles would shift from acquiring power to managing the vastness of his knowledge and the moral implications of his boundless capabilities.